All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is beautiful here in Toronto. It is very, very snowy out west, but we are having perfect fall weather. So today I'm here to do a Q&A session. And I have some great questions that were submitted throughout the week. If you guys are live today and you have any questions for me, let me know. Feel free to pop them in the chat and I will be happy to get to them today as long as we have time. I'll be able to squeeze them in. I will do my best. So I'm going to start with the questions that were submitted earlier today. And the first, or this week, first question is, I try to stay positive and can't seem to keep it up as the day goes on. What can I do? And I think this is a really common problem. I think this is a really great question. You want to stay positive. You know you should be positive. People say you should stay positive, and you actually do feel really, really good. And it sounds like in the morning you have a pretty good morning, and as the day goes on, things come up, life happens, life comes up. And so this is so common. It's really easy to be in a great mood when nothing is getting in your way, right? You wake up, you do your morning routine, you feel completely unstoppable, and then all of a sudden you have to go to work, your kids wake up, your family is in your life, and things happen that are not predictable. So what you want to do is, one of the things that I've worked with my clients on, I haven't worked on this for a while, but one of the things I really worked on earlier this year is something called 5-minute miracles. And these are little 5-minute practices that you sprinkle throughout your day to keep your mood lifted, your energy up, and really nourish your mind, body, and spirit. And I think when you have your mind nourished with good thoughts, when you have your body nourished, when you're hydrated, right? Sometimes we get this afternoon crash because we're too dehydrated. But when you're actually properly hydrated, that is an amazing, amazing thing to keep your mood and your energy lifted. And then mind, body, spirit. Yeah, and spirit is just really paying attention to yourself. Right? I think sometimes we forget to really tune in and pay attention to ourselves. And sometimes we aren't in a good mood, right? And you just can't be fully positive. And if you're in a really negative state, you may not be able to get to a fully positive state right off the bat. So I'm going to give you an example. It was either yesterday or the day before I was walking my son to daycare, and it hadn't been a bad morning, but I can't say it was an exceptionally good morning. I woke up, I got an email that I didn't like, a message that something I had been anticipating for a while had canceled. And I'm like, I made a lot of reasons that I was going to be upset by it. And I'm like, okay, I'll move on. But it was still in the back of my mind, right? I moved on to activities, but I hadn't really released it in my mind. Then my son woke up and he was a little fussy and crabby. Okay, I can ignore it, but it was bothering me. And I didn't acknowledge it. And then my husband, he woke up late. He got I made breakfast for everyone. He took his breakfast. He saw me cleaning the kitchen, doing the dishes, and he didn't offer to clean anything, and he didn't offer to do anything. And that was like the icing on the cake that left me in the really, really official bad mood that morning. So as I was walking to daycare, I'm like, well, I'm in a bad mood and I should feel good, right? I should be positive, right? I talk about positivity. I talk about being in a good mood. I should be positive, but I wasn't. And I'm like, well, let me listen to an audio. Let me listen to maybe Abraham Hicks. She's always really great. Well, I didn't want to do that. And I just threw a bit of a hissy fit. And so half a block later, I realized this isn't working for me. And I don't want the rest of my day to carry on like this. So I thought maybe I can give gratitude. And I was like, no, can't do that. Can't do that either. But what I could do was give appreciation, right? I couldn't get myself from a crabby mood to a state of gratitude. That was too big of a leap for me. And so what I did was take myself from that crabby mood to a state of appreciation. And then I had a really great day after that. So really look at where you are on this emotional scale. Where are you on the level of intensity with whatever is going on in your life? And how can you work to get a little bit more in the right direction? Get into that slightly better feeling, because contrast exists in order to give us feedback, right? And so, like I said, you might not be able to jump from totally positive, totally negative to totally positive, but you can make an improvement. And so find little ways throughout your day to make those improvements. Find little 5-minute chunks of your day, maybe in the morning, at lunch, in that middle of the afternoon, and at the end of your day. Take 5 minutes, set your alarm, or put it in your schedule where you're going to take a few minutes just for yourself to do something that fills your cup. That might be meditate. That might be do some self-hypnosis. That might be take a nap. That might be go for a walk. That might be to do 30 jumping jacks. That might be to do some breathing exercises. That might be to do some affirmations or to read something good. But go do something to lift your spirit in that mood, in that time, because what you need will probably change at different times of the day and on different days throughout the week, especially if you're a woman. You've got more hormonal variation than men do throughout the month. Okay, so if you're trying to stay positive and you can't keep it up all the time, as the day goes on, really start building little chunks into your day so that you can do a better job and you can really keep coming back to that energy of being positive. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, next question. I've been struggling in work and I'm not happy, and I've never felt like I found my ideal calling, and I've never really been fully satisfied. Every few years, I find a new career path, and it's exciting for a while, but the excitement fizzles and I get discouraged because I feel like I will never amount to anything. So you're struggling in your work, you're not overly happy, and you feel like you haven't found your ideal calling. So I think when we are looking at anything that we do, right? This is a really great question, because I think so often people struggle. They're like, I do work because I have to, and I know there's supposed to be something I'm called to do and I'm destined to do, and it's going to make fireworks go off in my life. And we get discouraged because we haven't found that. One of the things that we need to make sure to do is take time to get to know ourselves, right? Sometimes we expect these things to just fall in our lap, and they do. But we also need to give ourselves the ability to recognize when these things fall in our lap, right? How do you know? How do you know how do you even know what is fulfilling, right? So really take the time to ask yourself some great questions. I would say at this point, step back. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to find the perfect career. Start learning what you really love to do. Ask yourself, what do I love to do? Not just career-wise, but like in my day. What makes me feel really good? What am I put on this earth to do? What can I not help but do in my life? For me, that thing was teaching, right? It's such a simple word. I rejected it, but every time I look back at it, from when I was about 6 years old, I would prepare little phonics exercises for my brothers and sisters, and I'd make them do them in the summer to prepare them to go to school. Like that was an idea of a really good time for me back then. And so teaching has been something I've always done in one capacity or another. And it started at a really young age. And I never thought that was good enough, because I thought teaching meant you have to be in a classroom and you have to be a teacher. But I love to teach. This is what I've been doing my entire life. I cannot help but teach. I can't not do it. So start looking at some of the common threads that you've had in your life. And when you start asking yourself good questions, you're going to start getting some really good answers. Don't ask yourself, what should I do for work? That's a very low and expansive energy. You want to ask, what am I put on this earth to do? What is my purpose? Where can I help people? How do I help people? And so when you start expanding your level of awareness, you're going to start attracting something. And the more you zoom out, you're going to start tuning into those feelings. And when you really zoom out and see things from another perspective and really understand the feelings that you're after, understand the bigger picture of what you're doing, you're going to be able to make better decisions that are actually in alignment with what you truly, truly want to do. You'll start to find things that light your heart on fire. Go find things that light you up and go relive those moments. Think about a few times in your life that you've been lit up. Think about a few times, right? Maybe every single day, take a minute to write. Find one incident in your past where you were totally lit up and totally excited, something that totally motivated you, even if, and probably better if, it wasn't necessarily work related. Write about it and relive that experience. Do that every single day for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month, whatever you need. I would do it for at least a week. And then lay all your papers on the table at the end of that time. And look at what you wrote, reread it, and you're going to start noticing some common threads or some really great information found within that. And you're going to find your answer. So be patient, really give it time, and don't rush this exercise. When you find your answer, let it sit, don't try to push it or force it. Just notice what that answer is and allow it to naturally unfold and progress. But you've got to find the things that light you up and do more of them. Maybe they'll be through your work, maybe they'll be through another means. But when you do find those things, you're going to find everything else falls in place. And you want to stick to the things that light you up and keep doing them till they work, right? If it is a business, if it is a job, don't quit when it gets boring, right? Really find those things that lift you up and keep doing more of them, and you'll find everything will start to work out. Okay. So I hope that helps, right? Ask yourself really good questions. Start with that. And then take a look at some of the common experiences, some of the really beautiful experiences you've had in your past. Relive them and find the common threads through them and see what comes up with that. I know that if you give it at least a week, maybe more, everyone is different, give it at least a week, you will start to notice some miracles and learn so much about yourself. Okay, question number 3. So third question, I've got a really big goal. In fact, I got many. I want to do it all. And as I keep working on one goal, I get distracted and don't know where to start. It's frustrating because I know I have potential and I can do something amazing, but I feel like I don't live up to it and always seem to fall short. Okay. So, I really get where you're coming from. This is a really great challenge to have. You have a big goal, you have lots of goals, and you want to do it all. The thing is, if you try to do it all, you won't get anywhere. Right? You're feeling right now, you're putting your fingers in so many different pots. You're trying to spin too many plates all at the same time. You've got to get one thing going and let it start to thrive, and let it thrive before you pick something else up. You can do many things at once, but you can only really get really successful at one at a time. So let's say right now you're looking at a few really big pieces of your pie. And you really like a lot of these things, but if you want to do it all, it's almost like there's this sense that you need more than you have in your life, right? So it's almost like, if I don't do it all, then what? So I'm sensing a bit of a scarcity mentality behind it, right? Because if you feel compelled to do it all, what are you missing out on? So I want you to explore that for yourself. Also, really chunk up, right? You've got these, like, let's say 3 to 5 or 10 buckets of goals that you want. Look at the common theme, right? Today, it's all about common threads, all about common themes. Look at the common themes between them. Really step back. And if you chunk high enough to look at what the greater common thread is for your big goals, you're going to find it's probably the same. That's your goal. That's like the big, big vision. And you can still achieve each of these things, and you can still get to all of these things. They are like different cities on a map. But let's say I'm starting a road trip from Toronto and I'm going to LA. there are many cities and many different routes I could take along the way. I could take a scenic route. I could take a more direct route. I can travel mostly through Canada. I can travel mostly through the US. There are many different routes that you could take to get to LA. And that is basically where you are. For me, it's Toronto. Where you are, let's say it's LA. And all of these goals, they are going to be milestones along the way. So think of your goals as milestones. And if you were to maybe really look at what you want most, what is going to lead and be a natural progression and evolution to the next, that's going to be a best next step. Does it light you up? Is it a good progression? Is it a good evolution? Because if you try to do too many big things all at once, you're not going to succeed at any of them. So you take this next big step, you take the next destination, and then really look at that goal. Commit to it, get obsessed with it, get healthily obsessed with it, and break that one down even further, right? So you commit to one, pick one, you can do them all, but you're not going to get to any of them if you don't start with one. So you pick that one goal and break that one down. When it gets small enough, when you can break it down into small enough chunks, you want to put a plan together. And you're going to have big pieces of the plan, but the next, let's say 3 to 6 months, you want to have fairly detailed, right? You want to make sure that you are taking action on your goal every single day. You want to make sure your goal is reflected in your calendar and bank account. That means if there are certain things you need to learn or invest in order to achieve your goal, you're doing that. If there are certain activities you have to do, that you're doing that every day. Let's say you have a sales target you want to meet. Are you making calls every single day? Are you contacting people? If you're not the one doing that in your company, is somebody else doing it for you? So what are the steps? What are the things that you need to do on a daily basis to meet your goal? You may not like all of the steps along the way. And I think sometimes this is where we get thrown off course, right? We try to do so many things. We want to focus on what we love and we're doing what we love, but sometimes there's pieces of what we have to do to get to what we love that we don't like. So if you can, delegate them so you don't put your energy towards that. If you can't, really keep focusing on that goal till you get in a position to be able to delegate those things that you are not super thrilled with, but that need to get done to make sure that your vision gets carried out fully. And when you are so in love with your vision, when you are so obsessed with your vision, when you find something that you will trade your life for, it won't really matter what you're doing. And you won't even care whether you like it or not, whether you're good at it or not. You're just going to keep doing it until it works. So you want to have your passion flying through all parts of your life. So keep working on that big vision. Take your big rocks, chunk them up to find the common thread, and then really plot out the steps along the way that you want in order to get there. Pick the next step and do everything you can to get it. Put an actual plan together. Reverse engineering is not fun for everybody. It is not sexy, but if you love your goal, you will have a damn good time doing it. And if you don't know how to do that, go get some help. Reach out to someone. There's a lot of people that are amazing accountability advisors that can help you do that and map a course. All right. Next question. So I've always worked in an administrative role and have just taken on my first sales position. I hate rejection and I am finding myself doing everything possible to avoid work. How can I shift this? Okay, so always worked in an administrative role, so helping support a company, and has just taken on first sales position and does not like rejection. And I think when we are in a sales position, this rejection is something that comes up. And so often salespeople, especially really new salespeople, really take this personally, right? So I want you to just step back a little bit and ask yourself some questions. First and foremost, do you believe in what you're selling? Do you fundamentally believe in what you're selling? Do you use your product or service for yourself as a client, right? Do you love what you're doing and what you're selling? That's going to be the very first step in order to you buying into yourself. Really look at how it helps people. right? How is your product or service going to improve other people's lives? What will happen to them if they don't take advantage of your product and service? What's going to happen if they don't take advantage of your product or service? And often you can start finding the answers within that, right? So really look at how people's lives can improve. If they don't access your product or service, what is going to happen to them if they don't take advantage of it, right? Sometimes when they want to take advantage of it and they don't, it's easy to come up with an excuse that it's not in my budget, or it's somebody else said I can't, right? Maybe they legitimately aren't fired up about it. Maybe they legitimately don't have the money. Maybe they don't have the time to implement it or the resources to implement it. And so what's important as a salesperson is for you to get really, really curious about your customer, right? Really get curious about them. And when you're reaching out to them, you're not even reaching out the first time to see if you can sell them. You're reaching out the first time you're actually reaching out to see if you can sell them, if it's even a naturally good fit. If it is, then you can tell them more about what you do. Then you can invite them to do business with you. But in the beginning, you just want to open up a conversation and see if there's any way you can actually help them, because the reality is you are not going to be a great fit for everybody, right? You're not going to be a great fit for everybody. And when you start investigating them and you get really curious, you want to start helping them see how your product and service can make their life incredible, how your product and service can make their business incredible, how you can help them save money, how you can help them save time, how you can help them get whatever it is that they want, because we all have different needs and desires. And sometimes what we assume is going on in one person's life isn't the truth. So you want to really connect with them on a heart-to-heart level. And I think Bob Proctor has a program called Pathway to Agreement. And I love this program because it talks about heart-to-heart selling. And it starts with your thoughts being in alignment with their thoughts, right? What thoughts are you thinking going into this conversation? Are you thinking, oh my God, they're going to reject me? Or are you thinking like, I am so blessed that I have the opportunity to help people improve their lives through what I do. Do you walk in with the fear of rejection, or do you walk in with the expectation of success, even if it doesn't lead to a sale that day? Maybe success that day is having a beautiful conversation with someone and keeping the conversation open for the next step. Maybe it is getting them involved in your program or your product or service. So what are you expecting walking in? What are you thinking walking in? And what actions are you taking to align with that? Are you actually asking the right questions? Are you actually asking them to get involved with your product or service if it's a good fit? Are you asking for payment, right? There's a lot of actual physical steps along the way to achieve that success, but it really does start with the mind. And you want to make sure to go in heart to heart, really connect with them on a heart to heart level, because if your heart's not in it, if you don't have the feelings of really genuinely helping them, of course, you're going to get rejected and you will take it personally. Often rejection is not about you. It's about something in their life. Rejection is something in their life, and they might just give you some excuses to save face, or they legitimately might not be able to get involved in it at that time. But if you stick with it long enough, you're going to find that people will keep coming back to you from all over the place where you didn't recognize. And there'll be people that you forgot about that maybe you talked about right at the beginning of your career, because it sounds like you're just getting started. So think of every no as a not yet. They're either going to be a yes, a no, or a not yet. And when you get a no, you're getting closer to the yeses. You're getting closer to the yeses. You're getting closer to the yeses. And many people that say no actually mean not yet. So pursue and really help figure out where they are along that continuum. So if you are getting frustrated with selling, realize it's probably not about you. It's probably about them and their circumstance. And if you really start thinking of yourself as someone that is there to help, your job is to figure out how you can best help them. And in most cases, it will be with your product and service if you're in touch with them. And in some cases, it may be saying, my product and service isn't best for you. So whatever that is for your customer or for your client, honor that and be okay with that. Okay? So it's not about you, it's about them, and it's about you helping them and really knowing how to move them forward. Okay, if you guys have any other questions, I've got one more question that was submitted in advance, and then I'm happy to answer anything that has come up for you. So last question is coming up. Oh, someone said a great explanation of rejection. Thank you. I don't know who you are because you have not given StreamYard permission to use your name. So if you could do that, I will know who you are because I can't see that right now. Okay, last question. I have a fear of success. I know I can be successful. I know I will be successful, and I am scared. What do I do about it? So, so often we think we are afraid of fear of failure or fear of rejection, but often I do talk to people, and especially when I'm working with people and their money blocks, right? We do a lot of work with money blocks, and they have a fear of success. I can't earn too much money because my family will reject me. I can't earn too much money because people will think I'm bad. I can't earn too much money because I'll be a bad person. And so I think these kinds of thoughts, I can't be too successful, or I'll be all by myself. I can't be too successful because. So we come up with these stories inside our head, right? We all have stories. And whatever these stories are, these are going to rule your life. And most of the stories we have, most of the stories that we create in our minds, we make up from some point in our lives, right? We often make up from childhood. They come to us from places we consciously don't recognize. They live in our unconscious mind. And you find yourself saying things over and over and over again, right? I work with an accountability group every single morning. And what's beautiful is if any of us are stepping out of line with our language, we all immediately hold each other accountable and we help each other change it right on the spot, because sometimes you are consciously not aware of the things that you are expressing through your body, through your mouth, through your words, through the tone of your voice, through the intention you are projecting. And so when other people call you on it, it is beautiful because you have the power to do something about it. So when it comes to fear of success, look at your story, right? Look at your story and write it down. Take time to write your story down. We do a lot of writing in the Thinking into Results program because writing causes thinking, and it really helps us get things out of our head and onto paper. So it's not just rattling around in there, confusing us. Really important to get it out on paper. So write your story down on paper. And then you want to really look at whether this story is serving you or not. What if you did have the success? What would your story be then? What would your story be then if you did have success? If you had complete success in your life, what would your story be? So when you really take a look at the contrast, you're going to notice two different things. And what you want to do is you want to keep going to that person as though you were successful, because the person that is successful would not be worrying about the same things that you are currently worrying about. You are looking at your current reality and letting that dictate your results, letting that dictate your thoughts, letting that dictate your feelings. When you step back and really look at yourself as your future self, as the most successful person out there, what's the worst that could happen if you had success? What's the absolute worst thing that could happen? Maybe you could earn more money, you could help more people, you could make a greater impact in the world, you could be happier because you are doing a great job at something in your work, right? You don't just become successful by being selfish, you become successful by helping other people along the way. And so there are so many benefits to being successful. And so look at those benefits. weigh them, but also get them down on paper so you can make a conscious choice as to whether you want to live there or shift it. I suggest you rewrite your story to be the most successful person in the world, to be the most successful person in your world, and start practicing to live that one. That person will not have the same kind of fear of success. That person will have challenges along their way and challenges in their world. Bigger opportunities come with bigger challenges. However, people that are in positions to have big challenges, they embrace them and they recognize what they are as learning opportunities and growth points. So step back, write it down, get it out on paper. What is your fear of success right now? What if you were the most successful person in the world? What would your perception of success be? How would your life be? And then get rid of the old and move into the new, because that is going to make a world of difference. And you need to let those feelings go. There are many, many negative beliefs that we have in our lives. We call them paradigms, and you can get rid of them permanently, and you can get rid of them very, very quickly when you make a committed decision to do that. That's one of the very first things that we look at in the work that we do in the Thinking into Results program, is we actually look at the paradigms and limiting beliefs in our lives and start to eliminate them permanently, because you don't need them. And when you get rid of some of the bigger ones, a lot of the other messes along the way just naturally, they remove themselves from your life. So fear of success is real. It definitely is. But go reframe it for yourself and decide, do I want to stay there, or do I want to move ahead? Do I want to stay in my current life, in my current peer group, or maybe do I want to find a slightly better one? That's why people work in programs with other successful people. That's why when my clients, they love their mastermind groups, they love their accountability groups, because they get to really collaborate and share and move forward with like-minded people. That is so, so key. So start stepping into those environments each and every day and go embrace the success you have. Go embrace the success you have and live life to its absolute fullest. So I don't see any other questions coming in today. And that is it for today for my Ask Me Anything section. So I will be back again next week. This Saturday, I'm putting on a workshop, a masterclass, a 3-hour masterclass with Patrick Lundeen and Rebecca Wagner. We are getting together and we are helping people free their voice. And often a lot of emotional trauma is caught in the voice. And there are physical things that you can do to help free your voice, but also really looking at how the emotions can impact the voice and the delivery of what you're actually trying to project. I have a friend who has she's had voice problems for decades, and it is all due to emotional trauma. And as soon as something goes wrong in her life, she loses her voice over and over and over again. And so this is the kind of stuff that happens. Physical things manifest from your thoughts and from issues that happen in your life. So if this is something you want to explore, it's going to be a super fun workshop. It's going to be so interactive and it's going to be great. We're going to keep the registration very, very small just because we want to be able to give the people there a highly intimate experience. So if you're curious and you want to join us, then the registration link is in my bio. So hope to see you there, and I will be back again next week. Enjoy, everyone.